Don't forget to check out the other parts in this series. First off, I've noticed that you guys are interested in the history of the subway station. Some of you guys have also been speculating why such jobs exist. Our local subway station was built in the 1950s. The train station has been the same ever since then, except for a few changes and renovations to adapt to modern technology and trains. The subway station has been closed down many times over the years, till the 2000s, due to unfortunate incidents. In the 2000s, a new company bought the subway station and promised to manage it properly. There is no information about the company on the web, and it's simply known as the Subway Management Team. After the team took over, nothing has ever went wrong in the subway station. They are probably the ones that invented the rules and hired security guards. I personally think the reason that this job exists is to prevent incidents like the one that happened before, and also to prevent the creatures, or whatever it is on the subway station and train, from entering our world. It is so they remain confined to only these locations and stay there, which would explain the rules of shooting people coming off the train and stabbing the people coming out of compartment 4 if they come out. Other rules may be to simply protect the guard, such as getting on and off at stops 9 and 13 and not going into compartment 5. Speaking of compartment 5, I barely made it out. I turned around and behind me were the same zombie-like beings. They had excited looks on their faces as they drew closer. They took their time, coming slowly as if to mock me. Suddenly, an idea formed in my head. They reached out like they were sleepwalking. I felt claustrophobic as they closed in on me. Their faces and bodies were rotten and grotesque. The smell made me gag. I pulled out my knife and started stabbing and slashing at them. They continued unfazed, hungry for my flesh. I pushed through the crowd to the entry and exit doors at the side of the compartment and hit it with the fire hammer. The glass immediately shattered. My arm and hands shook from the adrenaline. I hit the glass harder and harder. It broke away pretty quickly. Since these doors were mostly glass and plastic, I could easily jump through the door without having it open. The travel doors only had small windows. The zombies were fast to follow, and they started running at me. I realized the train had stopped at some station, and I didn't have to jump on the tracks and hurt myself. I leapt out through the gap and landed on the platform. A gunshot whizzed past my head. I realized very quickly that I had indeed jumped off the train at station 13. There was a guard right in front of me with a gun in hand. He was probably just following the rules, thinking I was also a monster. The zombies burst out from the train behind me. The security guard's eyes widened, and he shot. The gunshot nearly connected with my head. More creatures of all sorts came out of the train. They were all hideous and otherworldly. Some of them fought each other. Some of them looked around, sniffing for blood. I had just unleashed the whole horde into the subway station. Many of them ran outside the station like crazy, ready to terrorize people on the streets. The security guard shot again. This time he didn't miss. It all happened in slow motion. The shot connected with my arm and blood splattered everywhere. I felt a weird burning sensation on my arm. I was surprised I didn't feel any pain. I watched in shock as blood soaked the whole sleeve of my shirt. Then pain set in. It hurt like hell. My knees grew weak, and I collapsed. As if that wasn't enough, the security guard shot another one. The bullet hit my hip bone. I heard a disgusting grinding and cracking sound. First, I just felt shock in my hip, and then the pain set in. It was agonizing. The only thing I could feel was pain. I collapsed fully on the ground and passed in and out of consciousness. And then finally, after an agonizingly long time, it all went black. I woke up in a hospital bed, hooked up to a bunch of machines and an IV drip. My arm ached and my torso hurt when I tried to move it. The nurses saw that I'd woken up and quickly came over. They explained my injuries to me in a blur and told me about the surgeries they had to perform on me. I had been shifting in and out of consciousness for 2 days. It would take me a long time to recover from the gunshots. After a while, serious-looking men in suits appeared. This was definitely some government-type thing. They offered to pay my medical fees and give me lots of compensation if I kept my mouth shut. I didn't want to be taken away. They didn't explain anything to me and insisted that I forget about it for my own good. My family was also compensated lots and told not to spread anything. Everything was covered up as some sort of accident. The subway station remains closed to this day. The subway management company disappeared and all records of it were gone. The train tracks have been completely closed off and no train would be able to run there. Our small town now usually sees a lot of military helicopters in the sky and lots of police cars patrolling. I swear our town has been quarantined, as there has been rumors of military trucks on the roads, not letting anyone in or out. I've never been able to go into the subway station. Even images of the train sent me into hysteria. I have to visit 2 different psychologists every week. Every night I wake up from nightmares that take me back to the subway station, back to the train. Sometimes I wonder, what happened to all the creatures that came off the train? Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, consider subscribing or check out another episode or series. If you have a story you'd like narrated, contact me on Twitter, which is in the description below. And thank you to Reddit user Not Necessarily for providing this series.